everyone, it's Sean from What Up, and welcome back to another video. Now, recently on November 15th, the blue carpet premiere of the Wheel of Time show happened in London in the UK, and Amazon and Sony flew over a ton of content creators to cover the event. Now, these content creators included, but were not limited to, Daniel Green, Matt from the Dusty Wheel, Critter XD from TikTok, and the MatCauthon. Now, the MatCauthon is the gentleman who created Twitter of Time a couple of years ago, and that's the space where a lot of the fans congregated while the first season of the Wheel of Time show was being produced, and Amazon and Sony started interacting with the fandom there. It kind of bloomed and grew into its own thing. So while he was over in London, they get to do all kinds of very neat things. They get to interview the cast on the blue carpet, they get to take pictures with them, meet them, and they get to attend a bunch of special events, including a Q&A. Now, the MatCauthon did record this Q&A, and it's quite lengthy. It's about 20 minutes long or so. However, he made it public for everyone to see earlier today. Now, I reached out to him and asked if I could show it here on the channel, and he absolutely agreed so long as we give him credit. So I've left a link down below in the description box to his Twitter. I want you folks, if you have a Twitter account, go there, follow him, check out the Twitter of Time, because it is a really fun time. There's all kinds of character accounts, there's all kinds of just regular folks on there, there's a bunch of content creators. We all talk about the Wheel of Time, we interact with Sony and Amazon. They call him the Tweeter of Chaos, or her the Tweeter of Chaos, whoever is running the Wheel of Time account, and it's just basically a whole lot of fun. So head over to Twitter, make an account if you don't already have one, follow the MatCauthon, and me, of course, as well, and join the Twitter of Time crew. Now, this particular video, like I said, is about 20 minutes long. However, the first 3.5 minutes or so is the wrong orientation, so it's a little bit sideways. He corrects himself about the 3.5-3:45 minute mark, flips it up the other way, the orientation gets better, and then the rest of the video is upright. Now, I didn't want to edit it in any way, shape, or form, because let's face it, it's not my video, it's his, and I wanted you folks to see the raw video as he put it out. So, enjoy this video, it's here, but before we get into it, spoiler warning, in this video we're going to show a Q&A from the cast at the London premiere of the Wheel of Time show. They do talk about certain elements of episode 1 and episode 2 of the first season. So if you want to go into the show completely spoiler free, be forewarned they may ruin small parts of those episodes for you. Alright, all of that being said, let's get on to that Q&A.
You know, what's it like to be kind of, did you feel like you were being kind of swept away by this in the same way as your characters were?
It was the first to be swept away, literally.
Yes. No, I think obviously their stakes are much higher than ours, but you know, I think being kind of torn away from your home at like on very short notice and thrust into this kind of extreme situation, it felt very surreal, and you know, there was a period of like shock, and I think that really helped with what the characters were experiencing. So yeah, and you know, they just become so much closer on the road, and the relationships and the dynamics of that gets more fleshed out throughout the series, and you know, that really happened when we were working as well. So a hard yes.
How about the rest of you?
Yeah, man, I think it was like a new experience for all of us. Like, we're all pretty like young in our careers, but you know, there's so many new experiences. We had to like learn how to ride a horse. There was like stunt training. You can see by that first episode, it kind of sets the bar quite high. A lot kind of shit kicks off. Quite so yeah, it was kind of, we just had to kind of get into it really quickly. And like you said, people come from all over the world, thrust into this new experience, but like our characters, we kind of grew as the journey went on.
Okay, so I was going to ask you all, like, you know, do you try and go through the book at the same pace as the series so as not to get ahead of your characters? But I believe there is a race through the books. Now, 4.4 million words, 5 times the length of The Lord of the Rings. Just to put it in perspective, how far along, are you willing to admit how far in you are?
Maddie and I are just behind Yasha.
Just behind
Yasha.
We're a close second.
Yeah, equal.
Lies. Yasha's really fun.
I do now. It's becoming a competition, and I do love competitions.
And you won it ages ago, and he's still competing.
We'll see you on the second lap.
So we're all collectively willing to admit that Yasha has read the most.
Apart from Ray.
Apart from Ray.
Yeah, I would hope. And I'm guessing others over there have.
And if you all look under your seat, there's a copy of The Eye of the World.
No, but I'm at book 11, but I can't imagine for Rave. You know, he must have read it so many times now, so many rereads. It's just insane.
I've gone through 3 Eye of the Worlds that physically don't work anymore. Like I had to get new ones because there's just like they're physically torn apart.
What would you guys say to people who think they don't like fantasy? Do you think that they should still watch this?
Yeah, I think so, because I've never done any fantasy before, and to me it does feel like the most real, realistic, genuine thing I've ever done before, and I think that's because of the characters, and that's, for me, what makes the Wheel of Time special.
And the writing, of course.
And many other things, of course.
Okay, I'm going to ask this one to everybody because I'm worried we'll run out of time and I still want to ask everyone everything. Favourite scene to film? Do you want to start?
Favourite scene of what we've seen tonight?
Yes, that's probably safe.
Yes.
I mean, I think shooting that winter night battle was pretty epic. I mean, it was night shoots, which mean that you're, doing key moments at 4 a.m, and it's tough. It's emotionally tough, and I think everybody says that after a week of night shoots, you get a bit strange, right? I mean, you get sort of emotionally slightly deranged, but it was, it sets the tone. It sets the tone of the whole first episode, and it's the motivating event of the entire first series. So, we knew that there was a lot riding on it. And Uta gave us an awful lot on that in setting up that.
I'm greedy. I worked them hard.
Yeah. But also you set up light effects and there was wind and there were elements that sort of aided the whole shooting of it. And then the weather blessed us, because in the aftermath, that grey dawn with the mud, and I mean that was just the weather, just gave us that. After this bucolic, gorgeous 2 rivers in autumn sunlight, we came to the aftermath of that battle, and there was this mist and fog and depression over the land, and you thought, well, the wheel weaves.
That was the first day the weather really had turned, and the timing could have not been better, because it would have been very problematic if we had fog for 2 hours in the morning and then the sun would have broken out, and it was like gloomy the entire day. But I want to add something to what was the favorite part to shoot. For me, I have a favorite shot, and that is definitely Rosamund collapsing in front of the tavern, and Daniel chasing to her, because one thing to remember, we did so many things in camera. So Daniel is physically outrunning these dust cannons going off behind him, and Rosamund is pretending that she's not feeling, the force of those dust cannons, and it was just magical. I remember we were behind the monitor, and the timing of everything was just perfect. That he just arrived at her in the nick of time. So that was not put in, in post and perfectly timed. That was perfectly timed on set, and we were just cheering behind the monitor. We were just totally elated.
That's what I remember, sort of, on wires, very bizarre, taking their heads off and eating, catering in the middle of the night.
You hear these things go out of order. Do they have their feet on? Do they have their heads on? Depending on whether we could shoot or not, because it was quite complicated, the costumes.
I mean, we probably should have guessed that Trolloc wrangling would be a difficult job, actually. How about some of the rest of you? What were your favourite moments?
I guess the bathtub scene. There's nothing more liberating and freeing than walking full frontal in front of your newly met co-star. You're still trying to get to know us, and seriously, from that angle, I had to walk up and then down. Just not a good look. That's by far my favorite.
Don't worry, I took footage from my angle too. So
Madeline, what was it? Was it Cliff
Wheel
Diving?
of Time After Dark.
Not as exciting as that. I really enjoyed, there was a scene where we were riding down like a riverbed in Slovenia, which was really wonderful. I think that was just really exciting, and we'd done like a month of horse riding preparation, and it was nice just to like let those babies fly, and it was just beautiful. It was so wonderful. So I think that
Yeah, mine was a moment, I think, right before shit hits the fan, and it's before the epicness, and it's a simple, peaceful moment with Tam when he talks about the Wheel of Time. It was a beautiful sunset in Slovenia, right at the start of season 1, and yeah, it was memorable.
It's a lovely little character beat as well. That him and his father is such an important relationship.
Yeah, Michael was, he did amazing.
Yeah, I can't really pick one, but I think just everything, and when it flips in that first episode where we're doing the dance, and Tom Thane's character has the kind of the axe rim or the arrow, and just the beat change completely, and that kind of like shaky camera. I think it's been so idyllic up until then, and then that chaos that flips. Yeah, I love that.
People are probably begging me to ask about. There's a change there to Perrin's character from the book. I don't know what kind of detail.
Just a tad. Yeah, I remember I spoke to Rafe about it, and I think he's got a particular behaviour that goes on throughout the journey, and kind of relationship with violence, and I think having a particular moment like that is something as an actor you can hop back to, but the audience as well, they kind of understand he's very quiet and thoughtful, and they can always relate back to that particular moment as a motivation for how it turns out for the rest of the season, I guess.
And how about Zoe?
I mean, I quite liked pushing Maddie off a cliff. It was really therapeutic. Wow. And awful too. It was awful. And
I'm sure it was really hard for you. I'm sure it was really, really hard.
no, it was beautiful sitting, on top of the cliff in Slovenia with all these beautiful women, and yeah, it was really special. It was a really special moment, and I feel like that's the first moment we kind of properly bonded as well, because there's a lot of trust that has to happen for you to be able to be comfortable with me.
As acting trust exercises go, that's quite an extreme version of falling backwards, really, isn't it?
We had wonderful Helena, who is ducking down right now in her seat, but she worked in makeup and did Rosamund's makeup. And she has a little cameo there, and she's braiding my hair, so she was part of the women's circle. I see you. She did very good. It was her acting debut.
Rick, was there a moment for you where you thought, oh, this is what I had in my head, this is it?
Yeah, I think actually for me, everyone's heard this story a million times now, but I first read the books with my mom, who gave them to me. And so she came to visit Prague, and we walked into the Two Rivers for the first time, and it was just like, before crew was there, it was just empty, just like sort of dawn and like the mist, and we just walked into the middle of the town, and she looked around and she was like, started to get emotional, because it's like, you built this place, like this place that we read about and imagined, it's here, and so she's here tonight. So she's actually the one everyone should thank for not giving me birth, but actually giving me the book. But yeah, it was a very emotional moment of feeling like you have to capture that. That's something that's in the books, and when you walked into that village, even though it's not exactly as it's described in the books, it really felt like it. So that was probably the most special moment for me. And working with these people that actually just my mom.
Awesome. So you're obviously already in the middle of shooting season 2. Is there a non-spoilerific way of telling us what we can expect from season 2?
I should answer this question. I think the thing, when we were in the writer's room talking about season 2, one thing that season 1 has that's amazing is you get to watch this group of people go on an incredible journey together, and then season 2, what we really wanted to do was see each of them on their own and who they really are, and like sort of take it back and get deeper with each of the characters individually, which I think they've really stepped up in the most incredible way the last few months shooting. So I think it's years from now that you'll see it, but we're cooking up something special.
Not that many years, hopefully. Okay, again, COVID is not a thing anymore. We're just going to pretend that's all fine. And
we just have to protect ourselves for any possibility. You don't know what's going to happen, Helen.
Okay. look, it's all going to be fine. The wheel weaves, right? So it's all going to work out. Look, I mean, I don't know what is it that is so special about these books? Because they are so popular around the world. They're so beloved, and I think you've captured that on screen. So how does it, how does it feel basically to be here, be at this point? You're at least one season in, that's in the can, pretty well through season 2. Does it feel like you know where you're, you know how you're going now and what you're doing with these? Do you feel like you're still discovering?
I want to know how many people in the audience are here because they love the books.
Not that many. But not everybody. Like, there's a good chunk of newbies here, right? Twitter of time. Newbies, newcomers. Okay. Did you like it? This is good.
So the question is, what makes a book so special?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, and finding ways to bring that to the screen, I suppose.
I mean, Robert Jordan's imagination is just colossal. I mean, that's what's sort of the most impressive thing. And whatever people think about fantasy or what their preconceptions about fantasy are, perhaps people might, looking from the outside, underestimate how emotionally driven these books are, and how these characters, they grow, they have flaws, they're complex, the stakes are so huge for them. And you mind about them, you mind what happens, and you feel with them. And I think all the ingredients he puts in and he plants in book 1 that then bear fruit through the whole series, you just realise he's got you. He's got the end in sight when he's writing book 1, even if, and that's why they're so layered. He's not suddenly coming up with an idea because, he's bored with the first one. He's got the whole thing in mind. So you have a concept like the one power that we're introduced to in, we see it in episode 1, but then we're sort of explained it in episode 2. But, that's just going to broaden out. And if in season 2, we're going to see it in myriad different ways. We're going to see all the different ways of using it, who can use it, the dangers of using it. That's just one example, but it's just so rich. And I think the depiction of power and magic, it's all got something visceral behind it. It's not just like fireworks, there's a real underpinning of what it means, what the cost is of doing this stuff, what the cost is of, whatever your special power is. There are many in the books, but it doesn't come for free. And I think that's what keeps me very engaged with it anyway.
I think that's something that all the characters are going to learn as the books go on as well. Power is difficult. Sorry, you were about to say, Dan.
I was just saying, I can't add anything to that. That was a perfect answer. I get stuck doing press with her a lot, and I feel the same way all the time. It's just a fastball, amazing answer, and I'm just kind of next to her waiting to go. And I've got nothing in the tank. But
and I tell you what I did love as well is I just love the texture of. There's so much detail in the background for people who know these characters, know the books. You guys have woven so many tiny details in there in terms of, like Lan is not always present when they're riding around the fields because he's off scouting ahead or scouting behind. That kind of detail I thought was brilliant.
And the bond, the Water Aes Sedai bond that we got to create in these first 2 episodes, but it's not explained until, you're definitely good at talking about that one.
The Water Aes Sedai bond. I mean, I'm very good at explaining because it's like I just find it like it's like a marriage, without the fun benefits really. Nothing sexual, no romance. Just
we have fun though.
We have a lot of fun, and I think it's incredible that you see because there's a lot of things that happen in the show when you watch it back that weren't planned, and we worked really hard to get our connection right. A lot of the choreography and her movement during the Winter Night fight with the One Power together, we worked a lot. And then after that, it kind of seemed to take on a life of its own. And you see us in the show, like getting off our horses at the same time, our feet actually hitting the ground at the same moment, and moving sort of our arms and our heads a certain way together. It's really strange, but it was not planned, but it just sort of worked out that way. And I found myself when I was watching this sitting in the exact same pose she was sitting in watching this show. So it's kind of strange.
And you rarely see relationships like that on TV. Actually, I think it's one thing incredibly unique about the show is this relationship between a man and a woman that is so different than what you're used to seeing as like the available relationships for men and women. So it's great, and it's interesting in real life to see all the Aes Sedai warder pairs have. There's women on this show who don't have warders, and they are coming to my office all the time asking for them. I think it's seeing how it operates in real life. I think there's something for all of us to take from that bond.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's a joy to watch, and it's a joy to see a show with so many interesting characters and some interesting female characters, which we don't want to see. But listen, we've run out of time, so I do have to wrap it up, and I'm so sorry. No. But please join me in thanking A.K. Schumann, Uta Breiswitz, Margot Keogh, Rafe Judkins, Marcus Rutherford, I'm sorry for forgetting you before, Zoe Robbins, Burgess University, Madeline Madden, Daniel Henney, and Rosamund Pike. And thank all of you.
Like I said, and I say this a lot, it was really very neat, very cool. I guess that's kind of my catchphrase now. But I did enjoy that Q&A. It gave us a look at how the actors and actresses in the first season thought of their characters, thought of the scenes they filmed, and some of the things they did on set. And I thought it was really, really good insight into how they're going to play the characters. Now, I do want to reiterate, I have not seen the first 3 episodes yet. Unfortunately, I'm not anywhere near a screening. I was not invited to the premiere, so I have not had the pleasure. So I will be watching all of them when they release, I believe, and you can't quote me on this because we've had a ton of different answers from Amazon themselves. I believe it's 12 midnight GMT time on Friday, which would put it at about 8 p.m. Thursday my time. My goal is to watch the first episode, come back here, make a few videos on it, go back, watch the second, do the same thing, and then watch the third. That way I'm not spoiled in any way, shape, or form in making my videos. I can only talk about what I've seen as I do them, and I plan on doing that for the entire rest of the season. Now, tune into the channel Friday because all these videos are going to start coming out probably sometime Friday morning, and after that we're going to have a ton more content. Now, stay tuned over the next few hours. I'm also going to release a news video. Yes, we have some Season 2 news, some Episode 7 news, a whole bunch of other stuff coming up. You're not going to want to miss that, so if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. Click the subscribe button and the notification bell. I'm putting out a ton of Wheel of Time content over the next few months, and you're not going to want to miss a thing. Now, thank you all so very much for sticking with me here to the very end, and here's to many more.